basically said it.
Well, this is exciting.
But nobody picked it up. You'd think people would have picked that up, right, Willie?
Picked what up?
I would have thought so.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying, seemed pretty obvious to me. But
What?
Anyway.
But here we go.
The front page of the Daily News?
I buried Paul. Anyway, with us now, member of the Select Committee on Intelligence,
This is
Republican
exciting.
Senator Susan Collins of Maine. Thank you so much
Great
for being
state
with
of
us.
Maine.
Thank you.
It's great for
I
you
love
to be here.
Mainers.
Because every
You have
question...
good taste.
I know. They don't hold back.
That's true.
Yes.
Every
Sorry, go
question now is an easy question. Said, well, let's start with John Heilman. John.
So we've been talking a little bit this morning about the Attorney General and what unfolded in the hearing yesterday related to him. Former Director Comey said that they had reason to think that he was going to have to recuse himself way back when. In closed session, it's been reported by NBC News that senators learned that there was an undisclosed third meeting between Sessions and the Russians. And then yesterday, after that meeting, Senator Manchin, who was just on the show, came out and said, quote, "There's one meeting we don't know about and people would like to know about it." What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's in closed session, of course. I can't tell you much about it, but let me say this. The committee is going to be requesting documents in an interview with the Attorney General, and there are some unanswered questions. The Attorney General clearly made the right decision in recusing himself from the Russian investigation in light of the report of these meetings, and he made the right call.
I thought it was fascinating.
Is it right though that there is a third meeting that you are that's what you wanted to get more information about?
I truly can't answer that question because of the close.
Good try, John Heilman.
But how fascinating, David Ignatius, that yesterday Comey basically said, because of information I know that I can't tell you here, the Attorney General had no choice but to recuse himself.
That was fascinating. He knew something was ahead, and I think we're learning more about what that was. I want to ask Senator Collins, one of the really interesting issues that was discussed at yesterday's hearing was the question of taping in the White House. And when Comey realized that there might have been tapes, suddenly his view of this and his leverage changed. And I want to ask you, what is your committee doing, or what can be done in the government to establish whether those tapes exist and get a hold of them?
We need access to those tapes, and the special counsel needs access to those tapes. I have doubts about whether the tapes really exist or whether that was just an attempt by the president to put some pressure on Mr. Comey or to raise some doubts about his testimony.
Shouldn't the White House tell you
Yes,
whether they have a taping system or not, instead of playing games with us all every day?
And pushing Republicans to shill for the White House?
We absolutely have a right to know whether there are tapes. This reminds me of the taping system. Of course, it reminds all of us that Richard Nixon had, and remember that issue went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the president was ordered to turn over the tapes. So that precedent has already been established, and we do need to know whether the tapes exist, and we do need access to them. But I also can't imagine that Special Counsel Mueller is not going to want to have access to those tapes if they exist.
Senator, the president tweeted this morning that James Comey is a leaker. He said, "Wow, Comey is a leaker." And he's talking about the testimony that Director Comey gave under your questioning, where he said, "I gave this document to a Columbia professor who then gave it to the New York Times." At the time he passed that document on, former Director Comey is a private citizen. It's an unclassified document. Is that, as you understand it, a leak per se?
I consider that document to be a government work product. After all, it was produced on an FBI computer. It was immediately after his various meetings with the president. He memorialized each of them in a memo, which tells you something about their interactions and how uncomfortable Mr. Comey was. So I do view it as a government document. When I asked him that question, I did so out of curiosity because there have been so many reports in the press about these memos, and I thought, how did they get there? So I asked him frankly, never dreaming that he would
Answer.
say,
Good.
I gave it to a Columbia professor with express direction for him to get it out in the press in the hopes that it would prompt the appointment of a special counsel, which it did.
So does it concern you that he passed that document on?
I must say it does. James Comey, I believe to be an honorable individual, a person of integrity. He's always railed against leaks. He did yesterday. And so for him to turn out to have leaked a document.
Was it a leak? Is that how you
Well, I view it that way, regardless of his motivation. I think his motivation may have been a good one. But
Again, he was out of government at the time, and also
just
it
saying,
was
like,
not classified, right?
technically.
it was not classified.
And again, I'm not doing his
How can
bidding.
you call it a
I
leak?
just want to be clear. It was not a classified
It was
document.
not a classified document to the best of my knowledge, but if it's a government work product, it belongs to the FBI and not to him as a private citizen. I think a better way would have been to give it to our committee or to the special counsel once the special counsel was appointed, but give it to our
Do
committee.
you find him to be an honest and trustworthy man? Did you
I do.
believe his testimony
Comey.
yesterday?
I do.
James Comey?
I found him to be credible, candid, and thorough. Doesn't mean that every memory he has is exactly right or that there aren't different interpretations, but he testified under oath.
So I hate to ask you this, but the follow-up then would be, do you find the president to be an honest and trustworthy man?
Well, I put more credence in testimony that is given under oath. And that's what we got yesterday from Mr. Comey. Now, I think Mr. Comey's made some mistakes. I think he made some mistakes in the handling of the Hillary Clinton case. And I think that he should have told the president when the president made the truly outrageous and unacceptable requests that he drop or let go the Michael Flynn investigation. He should have said, Mr. President, I can't do that, and you shouldn't be asking me to do that.
All right.
All right, I'll take that as
Very
an
good.
answer.
Susan Collins,
Got it.
Senator Susan Collins, thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
with us.
Very, very
We
much.
greatly appreciate it.
Really great of you to
And
come
isn't
on the
it
show
it's
this
remarkable
morning.
when you ask a question and you actually get an answer?
I know.
James Comey, that was something.
Fun, isn't it? Still ahead.